Hello guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today I want to talk about Dekoni ear pads for your Hifiman headphones. So which one's the best one for you guys, right? So I want to thank Dekoni for sending these ear pads out. They sent me 4 of their elite ones, and we have the hybrid pads, the Dekoni fenestrated sheepskin, the velours, and the sheepskin, right? So I'm going to test all these out and then let you guys know which one sounds the best. You can kind of use these results with your Hifiman headphones. So I'm using the He-6 SCV2 over here, but these pads can be used for the HE400i, 400SE, the Sundara. So you can use it for a lot of these pads, so the results might be similar for those as well. So yeah, so the goal is to kind of improve the sound of my headphone from the stock pads. So stock pads are these hybrid pads, and the problem with the He-6, I would say, is, well, let's talk about what it sounds like first. The He-6 has a very neutral bass, then it has kind of a little bit of a scooped out mid-range, and then when it comes to kind of the treble, it kind of has a little bit overemphasized in the lower treble. And what that really means is basically vocalists, male vocalists, sound a little bit distant, and female vocalists sound like they're lacking a little bit of the body in their voice. And then kind of female vocalists as well, like they're kind of their upper part of their voices are kind of a little bit overemphasized, so it comes across a little harsh sometimes with the He-6. So I'm trying to fix those problems, especially in the kind of lower treble and like the mid-range, right? So what I want is I kind of want the vocalist to kind of come out a little bit more, be a little bit more present. And I also want the female vocalist to be a little less harsh. It's kind of overemphasized in that region, right? I'm going to go down the line with these pads and tell you which one sounds the best. Now, please like and subscribe down below. It really helps my videos out. And yeah. All right, so let's talk about all the pads we have, right? So over here we have the stock pads. They're the stock hybrid pads from Hifiman. Then we have the Dekoni Elite hybrids right here. So they're very similar to the stock pad. Then we have the fenestrated pads. So these are sheepskin leather with holes in it. So the fenestrated. Then we have the Dekoni Elite Velour. And yeah, they're made of velour, so they're nice and breathable. And then lastly, we have the Elite sheepskin, and these are very nice premium sheepskin, and they're, they keep the bass in, right? So I've ordered these pads from left to right, in the sense that the ones on the left over here sound close to stock. As you move to the right, they sound further away from stock, so the more change, right? So like I said, the Hifiman pads are hybrid pads, right? So they're a combination of leather on the outside, and then they have kind of velour right here, and then they're perforated on the inside. So kind of a combination of all these pads right here, right? And the Dekoni hybrid pads are also the same, right? So they're made of a different velour material right here. They're perforated and they're leather on the outside. So one would assume that these sound similar, right? And you would be right. These ear pads honestly sound almost identical to me. Like there's probably like a 1% difference. Like they sound basically the same to me. The difference between these two pads is really just the material right here of the velour. I think this one is less scratchy for the Dekoni than the Hifiman one. And then the Dekoni one's also just thicker in general, so it's kind of a bigger and thicker pad. So if that's what you're looking for and improved comfort, then you could go with the Dekoni pad. Now, moving on, we have the Dekoni fenestrated pad, right? So it's leather with holes in it. So the way I see leather pads in general, like these, is that leather generally kind of takes down the treble because of the leather, kind of absorbs it a little bit more. And it also increases the bass because it doesn't let the bass out, right? Now, the fenestrated, the dots, what they do is kind of let out some of the sound. So it kind of doesn't reduce the highs as much as the leather does. And it also kind of lets the bass out a little bit more. But I find that for the He-6, it kind of doesn't matter for the bass. The bass sounds about the same no matter what. I think it's just the headphone just is really good with bass without needing it to trap it in. But yeah, the fenestrated pad sounds different stock because it actually reduces the treble a little bit. So you don't actually hear as much of the kind of the female vocals kind of being a little harsh. You don't really have that harshness. And I think it fixes a little bit of that harshness, but I feel like there's still some harshness still there, but it's not as bad as stock. And so I think this is actually an improvement over stock, a slight improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. Now moving on to the velour pads, I think these pads actually reduce the treble even more. So female vocals are actually no longer harsh with this pad. I think this actually gets it to the perfect spot. And the other characteristic that I heard when I listened to these velours, it actually helps the mid-range a little bit. So your male vocalist, your female vocalist, you're kind of a little bit more present or less distant, and it kind of fixes a little bit of that problem. And so overall, I do find these pads to be quite good, and I really do enjoy these a lot. And yeah, these are definitely an improvement over the stock. And then moving on to the last one, which is the leather. So the leather definitely reduces the highs a lot. I think it reduces a little bit too much, but it's still pretty present, but it definitely is less detailed than you would hear from stock, I think, and you can turn up the volume a little bit more, but it also isn't harsh like the stock is either. And I think that greatest part about these pads is because it reduces the the treble so much, you can actually turn up the volume more on your headphones, and you can actually hear a little bit more bass because of that. So I feel like this actually has the most bass presence of all of these. It doesn't really change your headphone to like a bass monster, but like it just has a little bit more bass than the rest of the pads here, and especially compared to the stock pads, right? So the real question is, which one is my favorite? If you haven't guessed already, it's definitely the Elite Velours. The Elite Velours does about most of what I want. It reduces the highs, and it also brings back the mid-range, right? So the only thing is that it doesn't fix all the mid-range. I don't think any pad will fix that kind of big chasm that the Hifiman He-6 has in the mid-range, but it definitely gets a little bit better than the stock pads. So I do enjoy these the most, and I think, yeah, these definitely improve your headphone sound, and I actually like these a lot, and I'll probably be using these going forward. Now, second, I would say the fenestrated is a very good pad. I think some people might find that maybe this one reduces the treble a little bit too much and becomes a little less detailed. And this one might be kind of the happy medium between the stock pad and the velours. And yeah, you'll retain a little bit more of the highs, and maybe you like that because it sounds a little bit more detailed to you, right? So the Dekoni fenestrated would be the option. And then these ones, these are actually, I would say, I wouldn't even call them third. It might be my last option, because there's one thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that because these are leather, they seal very well. So when you kind of put them on, you can actually hear your driver crinkle. And that kind of concerns me because planer drivers have these little small diaphragms, right? And when you have a lot of pressure because of your head, it kind of puts air pressure into your headphones, so you hear your driver crinkle. And because I don't want my headphone to like fail, and I've heard stories of people's like drivers failing, this one kind of concerns me a little bit because of that. But other headphone manufacturers like Audeze use leather pads all the time, and their driver crinkling is normal. But it's just something to be aware of if you use this one, right? To sum it up, use the hybrids if you want stock. Use these if you want the best experience. If you want something middle, use the fenestrated, and the leather if you want a more bassy experience. So I hope you guys found this video to be helpful. Like I said, the velour pads are my favorite. I'm definitely going to be using these a lot. Like I said, they definitely improve the stock sound. So yeah, just have fun with the Hifiman headphones. Pick out whichever one you think is best for you. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. It would really help my videos out. If you guys want to see any more of the content in the future, definitely subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.